are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mental Space with Sean Garvey, right here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK, WAOK.com, and on your Odyssey app. Just search for News and Talk 1380 WAOK. I am Sean Garvey. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mental Space each and every Wednesday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on News and Talk 1380 WAOK, like we do. Always, at the very beginning of the show, we are going to do a quick exercise. Let's all do it together, ladies and gentlemen. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Just a little quick exercise to help you get through the day if you've been stressed out or if you had a lot going on today. This is the show in which for you, the listener, will get a chance to call in with your testimony or story if you or someone you know is dealing with a form of mental health. The telephone number is 404-726-1380. That's 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. You can also email me, the Mental Space Show at gmail.com. That's the Mental Space Show at gmail.com. I got my executive producer, Simone, holding things down with me, including my AP in the background, Michelle Dawes, Birt. We got a very, very great show for you, ladies and gentlemen, on tonight's show. Of course, we are in the month of July. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Each year, millions of Americans face the reality of living with a mental health condition. Mental health conditions do not discriminate based on race, color, gender, or identity. Anyone can experience the challenges of mental illness regardless of their background. However, background and identity can make access to mental health treatment much more difficult. National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month is observed each July to bring awareness to the unique struggles that racial and ethnic minority communities face regarding mental illness in the United States. And of course, you all know the COVID-19 pandemic has made it a lot harder for racial and ethnic minority groups to get access to mental health and substance use treatment services. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take heed of that. Can I get my Talib Quality instrumental up? It's on Google Chrome, by the way. Yeah, there you go. It's minimized. Yeah. All right, because we are about to go into a break. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we do at the beginning of every month. Not so much the beginning of every month, but also the second Wednesday of each month. Second Wednesday of each month, we do the dating behind the scene. The dating behind the scene, we have Trey Amazing in the studio, along with Blase and Alicia Bridges, who just came back from vacation. So we are going to talk to them. We also have a returning special guest coming up in just a few moments. We're going to talk about height. We're going to talk about height and dating. All right. So, yes, we're going to talk about it tonight in our Dating Behind the Scenes segment. Height doesn't matter when it comes to dating and to one's mental health. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. Before we get into that discussion, I want to address something that I mentioned in a live on my Facebook and on my Instagram page at Sean Garvey ATL. All right, so stay tuned. And we are also broadcasting live on the Flow Television Network. That's the Flow Television Network. We are broadcasting on Roku TV, so you can check us out on Roku TV live, and you can download the app at the same time to listen to us on the go, and that is the Odyssey app, News Talk 1380 WAOK. It is the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News Talk 1380 WAOK and on the Flow Television Network.
No idea. I would suit up in my uniform and you're going out on patrol. What are we going to do tonight? Well, we're going to rob some drugs. And,
on my Facebook and on my Instagram page, I mentioned about Coco Lee. And for those that do not know who Coco Lee is, she was the beloved Hong Kong singer and songwriter who voiced Mulan in the Mandarin version of the Disney classic. And she was even featured on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I know that's a title that a lot of people remember. And she was even on the Runaway Bride soundtracks. Well, last week, unfortunately, Coco Lee died at the age of 48 from an apparent suicide. And on some of our past episodes of The Mental Space, we acknowledge and address the dangers and the circumstances surrounding suicide. And if you go on my Facebook and Instagram, I spent about 45 minutes to maybe close to an hour talking about the death of Coco Lee and the decision that she made to take her own life at the age of 48. 48 is still years, it's still young. 48 young. It was disheartening to talk about it. Months after, we also lost a public figure, a well-known celebrity by the name of DJ Twitch. And his suicide happened on the same day as the Mental Space show, right? And true story, when I was on the air live last Wednesday, I received a news alert about Coco Lee. And as broadcasters and as media personalities, one of our responsibilities is to make sure that we fact check everything before we put it out there over the airwaves. Because you know how the internet works, people. You know how social media works. They put out false rumors and false information about well-known people who have been hospitalized or allegedly been hospitalized or allegedly passed away from whatever the situation was. So I didn't get a chance to fact check the information and report it to our WAOK listeners. But after the show, and when I looked at my reliable sources and read the story, I was disheartened. I felt very sad for a person who had so many gifts, so much talent in the world. And for her to take her own life at the age of 48, it reminded me of DJ Twitch. And it reminded me of all the younger people who have taken their life away from suicide. And what was even more heartbreaking, if I can be very honest with you, was that this happened the same week that social media went into a media frenzy over the whole Keke Palmer scandal. And I talked about that in the video. And of course, I know as broadcasters and as people in the media, we cover stories from all angles: politics, news, current events, even pop culture, entertainment. I get it. I work in the business. But for the Keke Palmer situation to overshadow this person at the age of 48 to take her own life, it was even more disheartening that this woman's story was overshadowed by someone who made the decision to do what she did at an Usher concert. And it had everybody talking about it. But to me, mental health should be at the top of the list, people. And that's why I do the show. I said this. We've done the Mental Space for a year and a half now, going into 2 years of doing the Mental Space. And it's just very heartbreaking and very sad to keep touching on stories of people well known and even people that are not well known to take their own life, whether at 48 years young or even at 13 years old or even 20, or it don't even matter how old you are. You could be in your 80s and decide to take your own life. So we got to keep having these conversations, people. We're not here to sensationalize stories and just do a show because nobody else is not doing a show on mental health. But we got to keep having these conversations, these very important and even at times uncomfortable conversations, because we're living in some trying times right now where people are taking their own lives at a very young age, more than ever before. And we do stories on homicides and people who have died from different illnesses. But suicide is a very big thing, and it hits home to me as a person who almost took his life away. And that's why I wanted to do this show, to make it a safe space for everyone, not just only one particular gender, but for everyone, no matter what background you is. And that's the importance of it. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. We're going to go to Dooley. Dooley from Florida. Hey, Dooley. You live on air. That's coming up. That's coming up at the bottom.
And the real crap is determination, because people make up their mind. Then we see, like, over there in, is it Amsterdam, where they got what they call euthanasia?
Well, I do not know that. I do not know that. But, because I mean,
The whole idea about suicide is revolutionized by the concept of euthanasia. And then we got the younger people who decide because they were bullied or they were shamed, and they can't deal with living through the shame. But they never really consider, well, if you're ashamed of something that bad, if you really got a good heart, you can just go to another town.
And that telephone number is 1-800-273-8255. Once again, that's 1-800-273-8255, better known as TALK. So if you or someone you know is dealing with a form of suicide, please call that number. We got our guests in the studio. We will be right back after the news and messages. It is The Mental Space with Sean Garvey.
Breaking news, sports, weather, coming from the WAOK News Center.
I'm trying to grab your attention. I don't know if that's what I know what he's talking about. I don't know. I don't think it started in.
I know it's doctor assisted
FBI
suicide.
Director Christopher Wray is defending the agency against
Shout
allegations
this out.
in a couple of months or weeks or so, whenever that may be, she just thought I'd say that. She just thought she should say that to me behind the scenes. Like, ooh, I didn't get tickets to go to One Music Fest, but I will be in Las Vegas with Usher. Okay. Everybody's going to see Usher. Shout out to Usher. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. Tonight's topic, let's go ahead and get right into it. Of course, every once a month, the second Wednesday of each month, right here on the Mental Space, we do a segment called Dating Behind the Scene, because the dating scene contains a lot of mental health issues, and what better way to talk about it but on the Mental Space with our two commentators and our other commentator and our returning special guest, ladies and gentlemen, and who knows dating better than the man himself, Trey Amazing, in the studio. Trey Amazing, happy Wednesday.
Yeah, happy Wednesday, everybody.
All right, we got a hot topic, Trey Amazing.
Indeed.
So I know you ready to get into it. It has to do with height, and I know you are about like maybe 1 or 2 inches taller than me.
Oh, I'm 6 even.
You 6 even.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So never really had an issue in that department when it came to dating, but being in the genre, I'm around people, particularly women, who talk about that as a preference. You know, meeting a lot of women who say a man that they date has to be 6 feet or taller, and that's their preference. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. But the average height of a man, the average male height is not 6 feet. It's actually somewhere in the range of 5'9". And so,
we got the statistics. We got the information. We're going to share it to our listeners.
Oh yeah, hook it up.
Yeah. Okay. And also another person in the studio, no stranger to WAOK. She's actually family here at WAOK, and taller than I am, ladies and gentlemen. Taller than I am. Alicia Bridges in the studio, back from vacation, by the way. Yes.
Alicia Bridges here, formerly known as Six Deuce. That was my name.
That was your name, really?
Yes.
Six Deuce.
Six Deuce.
Six Deuce.
Because I'm 6'2".
You 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to talk about how the dating life has been with you being a 6'2" sister.
Okay.
But I want to, of course, find out from you, because you was on vacation. I seen the videos. I seen the pics on social media. How did it help with your mental health?
It was really good. I needed that. It was great to get away. Anytime I'm at the beach by water, it's nice. It always just gives me a new boost. So I'm hoping to be at the beach again for my birthday. So it was wonderful.
When is your birthday?
Spend time with friends, celebrate a birthday. My birthday is July 22nd. What's up, all the cancers out there? Yeah, I'm not a Leo, baby.
No, Leo.
Yeah, nah. I'm on the last day, so they say I have some Leo characteristics. But yeah, so it's coming up in about a week and a half.
Nice.
All right. Well, happy early birthday.
I appreciate that.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
All right. And we also have Blase in the building. Blase.
What's happening, y'all? What's happening?
Okay. I know what your position is on tonight's topic. We talked about it offline. I cannot wait to hear what your position is on the topic. And also joining with us back one more time, back again in the studio, singer. And he was also in the studio with John Boy on the track when we were touching on a different particular topic, of course. And there's a reason why I wanted to bring this brother into the studio. We have Nigel Perkins back in the studio. Nigel.
Appreciate you having me back.
Welcome back.
You know, I've been getting compliments all day saying how fresh I look in my outfit today, but you look way more better than I do, right?
Y'all both look very nice.
Yes. I like that.
Hey.
Yeah. You're my brother. I'm a little short, so I couldn't reach all the way.
I don't get any compliments today.
You look nice, Troy.
Thank you.
You always look nice.
Thank you.
How's your mental health, by the way, Nigel?
You know, often we say good, but I'm gonna say okay right now. You know, my mental health is okay right now.
Why is it okay?
It's you know, as a man, we're not supposed to say that we're not okay, but I break that barrier. I go against the grain with that. Yeah, it's not okay.
It's okay, but
as a man that's been through so much at such a young age, you know, like you said, you spoke about the suicide situation.
Yeah.
So that happened with my mom at the age of 17. I lost her to a suicide situation where she was found in the martyr station, you know, in the bathroom. Where that happened, you know, and then, you know, not to mention, I just lost three babies, you know, just lost my triplets. So that alone was enough to make me say, okay, it's not okay right now.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, we good and we move, you know.
Well, thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
And sharing
Yeah,
that.
I appreciate it. Not a problem. That's, you know, we just gotta be, you know, able to put that out sometimes.
Yeah, indeed. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the mental space, and welcome back to the mental space, Nigel, and for giving us your testimonial story on that. Okay, so dating behind the scene, a segment that we do once a month here on WAOK, and I know Mr. Dooley, who called in earlier, I'm assuming he had a comment on it, and please call back, Dooley, when we are ready to get into the conversation that we're about to get into right now on height and dating. Does height matter when it comes to dating and when it comes to one's mental health? So in the dating scene, when we're talking to our potential daters, right, or our potential mate, significant other, you know, sometimes the question is asked, how tall are you, right? And in instances, when I talk to single women in you know, my line of work, because I do sometimes serve as a part-time matchmaker myself, i.e. I do a dating show outside of the mental space. A lot of the women I talk to say, I want a guy who is 6 feet and up. He can't be 5'9", 5'10", 5'5", or below that. You got to be 6 foot tall. And we've heard this through history, that our ideal man has to be tall, dark, and handsome. Yeah, tall, dark, and handsome. But to some men, we don't fit that criteria. I'm not 6'1". I'm not a tall guy. I'm not a tall glass of water. But I'm not a short guy. You know, I'm in the middle. And at times, a person can feel some form of low self-esteem when that particular person doesn't meet that one's criteria. You know, I'm not 6'1", I'm not 6'2". You know, I'm sure that means that I'm not going to get all the women. I'm not going to get all the girls. I might get one or two, but I'm not the most desirable because I'm 6'1", I'm 6'2". And I wonder how that makes us, especially men, how does that make us feel? How does that make you feel, Nigel? Like, you are, what is your exact height, Nigel?
I'm actually 5'5".
You are 5'5".
Yeah.
Okay.
5'5".
So as a man, being 5'5", and just to put emphasis on it, as a black man, how does it feel when you do not meet that criteria that a handful of women are looking for in a ideal mate?
Personally, it doesn't really bother me, and you know, because that's their criteria. You know what I'm saying? That is their criteria. So you can't really be mad with a person for them wanting what they want. You know, it's just like I may say, I don't want to date a taller person. You know what I'm saying? Or this type of person. You know, it's just, it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Right.
But it's just saying that that's what they require for them. You know what I'm saying? Per se.
That's their preference.
Right.
Exactly.
And I understand everyone has a preference.
Exactly.
Right. But from a mental standpoint, because this is the mental space, from a mental standpoint, it used to make me feel some type of way whenever I hear a woman say, oh, I prefer a tall guy. I prefer tall, dark, and handsome. You got to be 6'1", and all that. You know, I haven't, I mean, let's just keep it honest. Let's keep it honest, Sean Garvey. I didn't have too much of a trouble getting with women, but I knew that I wasn't the most desirable one because I didn't fit the criteria of height. You know?
Well, you make up in things, you know what I'm saying, as far as height.
You know, I remember my pastor used to tell me, you don't sell apples to people who want oranges. You find people who want apples.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. You got to find people who are into what you have or whatever you think your flaw is. You got to find people where it's not a flaw to them.
Right. Okay.
Simple
So
as that.
when we come back from the break, I'm going to play a couple of excerpts from our very own Voices in the Street here on WAOK. They recently brought in a guy who made not just only local headlines, but national headlines by putting himself in a position to get surgery to enhance his height. All right, and we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break. But you can still call in at 404-726-1380 is the telephone number, and this is the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News Talk 1380 WAOK.
Have y'all seen Kevin Hart's special?
WAOK.
He got a new special on Peacock,
Yeah,
but he
I
talks
see it on
about people getting their surgery, and he's like, "But what about my feet? My feet is still a size 7." So
It is the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News Talk 1380 WAOK. How many of you all remember this song back in the 90s?
I'm old enough. I remember.
I am too. I think all of us here in the studio are old enough to remember that song. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
And that was like a one-hit wonder. That was like all he had.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't gonna put that out there. Okay. Shout out to the one-hit wonders. But that was the anthem for many short guys, or people who are under 6 feet. Just addressing the issue of not being the expectation that many people want you to be, which is 6'1" and above, right? Like a basketball player. Most basketball players are 6'1", 6'2", and above, So we want to hear from you, 404-726-1380 on the Mental Space with Sean Garvey, News Talk 1380 WOK, and on the Flow Television Network. Tonight's topic, we are talking about height and dating, since this is the Dating Behind the Scenes segment, which we do once a month on WAOK, the Mental Space. Does height really matters when it comes to dating and one's mental health? Joining with us, if you're just now tuning in, joining with us is dating commentator Trey Amazing, comedian Blase, comedian Alicia Bridges, and of course, singer, musician Nigel Perkins. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. According to You Magazine, a study says this is the most attractive height for men and women. The tall, dark, and handsome, which I addressed earlier in the program, has been the stereotypical criteria for what a woman looks for in a man for as long as we can remember. And the study goes on to say, this particular article goes on to say that a study by a dating app revealed the height as being the most right swipe. Get this. Right swipe among their users who range between the ages of 18 to 30. After surveying 20,000 British-based people, they concluded, this happened in Britain. They did this study in Britain, right? They concluded that 5'5" Brit was the most popular height for men. And
what is it?
5 feet.
5 feet?
Yes. Yes.
For men?
For men.
5 feet what?
Ben.
What's Ben?
This is according to a UK.
That's
in Britain. That's in Britain.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna get to the America in just a minute. Okay. That's the study that Simone sent me.
So now it's 5'8".
It's 5'8".
Oh,
okay. Not 5'8", 5 feet. Okay. Simone, get on the mic.
So yeah, they said that the most attractive height for men was 5'8", being number 1, 5'10", being number 2, 5'6", being number 3, 6 feet being number 4, and then rounding out 5'9" as the top 5.
I wouldn't do well over you.
Wow.
Neither way.
Yeah. They must have a lot of short people over there then, dude.
Okay, all right. I read it wrong. I'm sorry, y'all. I got my glasses on. I was like, I cannot see. Okay, I can see that. Most attractive height for women: 5 feet 5 inches, 5 feet 3 inches, 5 feet 7 inches, 5 feet 2 inches, and 5.5 or 5 feet.
And that's most desirable for women's height.
Yeah.
For women's height.
Mm-hmm. This is according to the Office of National Statistics. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the average height of a man in the UK is 5 feet 9 inches. So let's go around the room. Let's go around the room and ask everybody that's on the panel. Starting with you, Trey Amazing. How tall is too tall for you?
Too tall for me. I never really had an issue like that in terms of, when I was single, the women I met out there. My whole thing is you can be tall. You can be taller than me. Just don't dunk on me. That's all I ask. Don't look down on me. You know what I mean? But I never had that issue of me. I've met women who were tall.
So she could be 6'8".
Oof. I don't think when I was single, I didn't hang out in places where women were 6'8" or anything like that.
Okay, so the limit, not 6'8", 6'7". 6'5".
I would say let's stop at 6'5".
Okay, so
6'5". Okay, but you know, but 6'5". Okay, 6'5". Are you bare feet or are you 6'5" with heels on?
Bare feet. Bare feet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Did you go up on any power lines? I'm like, why are you that tall? Why are you that tall? And why aren't you playing for a basketball team?
She might be playing for a basketball team.
You can't be that tall and working at T-Mobile. You know, I need you to do something with that height.
That's what.
Okay, so Alicia, does height matter?
I'm 6'2", and so I don't want to date anybody who's shorter than 5'10". Average male height, I feel like I'm giving a lot of grace.
Have you ever dated a short guy?
I have. I dated a Puerto Rican who was like 5'8".
And what was that experience like?
He just like every other man. I mean, you know what?
What does that mean?
Actually, no. When I think about it, the shortest guy I've been out with was 5'7", and we went to Sweet Lounge, and I had so much anxiety because we were sitting there, and I knew when we stood up, everybody was gonna be looking, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm having anxiety." So he's like, "Okay, I'm ready to go." Y'all, he told the story on his Facebook Live. When I got up, I ran out of Sweet Lounge.
You just brought more attention to yourself.
Angry. He was angry.
So he was like the artist that I just played going back into the show. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
Yeah. He definitely he probably wanted to do the 80,000 against me and stuff.
So he's just walking around angry.
Yeah, he was just upset because of his height, and it was all every time he turned around, I'm like, oh, they think they better than me because they taller than me. Oh,
so it was an insecure problem.
He has a really bad insecure problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he try to make up for it by like driving big cars or, you know?
He just he told me he always was trying to fight bigger guys. He had the complex of that, you know. So no, I just like taller guys. Period. I have long legs. So.
Okay. All right. Well, fellas, you heard it. Height does matter. Height does matter. We want to hear from you. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. Does height really matter when it comes to dating and to one's mental health? I was speaking to a coworker of mine earlier today. He's about 6'1", right? And he said that he cannot stand hearing people making the whole height thing a requirement when it comes to dating, because it should be about the personality and not about how tall this person has to be. Because you can be tall and not be the best version of yourself. You may have more mental issues being a tall person than the person that you're dating. You know, everybody comes with something. Everybody comes with some form of baggage. But it's interesting that you brought up the 80,000, Blase, because when we come back, we at the top of the hour, the second hour of the Mental Space with Sean Garvey. When we come back from the break, I want to play an excerpt from Voices in the Street. Voices in the Street, they had the gentleman on that spent the 80,000 to get a height enhancement. So we'll touch on that more when we come back from the break. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. We want to hear from you. It's the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
So what's your height requirement? I want to hear it.
I don't know.
You don't?
Oh, is your wife taller than you? Or
Well, my wife wasn't taller, either one. My husband was taller.
Play anyone on this.
But I did date someone that was taller.
You dated a woman who was 6'2"? Wow. That wasn't the one who
Speaking of Nigel Perkins, we have him in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Nigel Perkins on the hook. Sit this one out. You know, Nigel couldn't sit this one out. You get this conversation out. As we talk about height, does height matter when it comes to dating and one's mental health? 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. The phone lines are blowing up, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go into the excerpt, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about does height matter and to one's mental health when it comes to dating? Everyone in the room, almost everyone in the room, Alicia Bridges, Trey Amazing, and Blase. Blase and Alicia Bridges agreed that height does matter. I think for Alicia Bridges, it matters to a certain extent. If you're 5'10" and or above.
Yeah, 5'10" or above. If you're just tuning in, I'm 6'2". So I feel like saying 5'10" is giving a lot of grace in my situation. So I have no problem with a man being shorter than me. It's just, I don't want him to be 5'5".
Okay.
I mean, not that
and she's sitting next to a guy who is 5'5".
That was just the height.
Shots fired.
On my mind.
Nah, you good, y'all.
That's called discrimination.
It is discrimination. But I wouldn't be bad if you said that you did not want to date a woman that's 6'2". I would totally understand it, but you said you don't have a problem with that.
Nah, yeah, you can't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. That's just your preference.
And it don't take away from your attractiveness at all.
Come on,
it's just it would be a long distance relationship. That's what I'm trying to say.
Seriously? Dude, you ain't got to take that. You ain't got to take that.
See that's part of it right there, man. You gotta be able to, deal with that. Because if you can deal with that as being the shorter
talking to the mic. There you go.
It's being the shorter person. That also helps with your mental space. You know what I'm saying? Because it allows you to be confident with who you are.
Does that hurt your feelings though?
No.
Okay.
Not as person.
Okay. Yeah, because I would never want to be hurtful.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's play this excerpt. Before I bring in the excerpt, I want to frame it. So a couple of weeks ago, our very own Voices in the Street did an episode where they brought this gentleman in by the name of Denzel Singers, a former Navy medic from Atlanta. And he made not only local headlines, but national headlines, where he recently said that he struggled his whole life with viewing himself as a small person. And he says he now feels like a, quote, and I'm using air quotes here, a new man after getting limb lengthening surgery. Yeah. And guess how much he paid for the surgery? If you missed what Blase said, he paid $80,000 to have the surgery to become half a foot taller. So I'm going to play an excerpt courtesy of Voices in the Street on WAOK as they are asking him questions about what made him get it done. Now in the headline, this is what I was confused about. I was confused because, I'm going to let you play the excerpt. I'm going to let myself play the excerpt. And and let's talk about it real quick. It's News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Here's an excerpt from the interview with Voices in the Street.
Because being 5'5", let us know what that was like for you when it came down to dating and women and now being 6 foot.
So I will say at 5'5", I actually didn't have a hard time getting women, but I had a hard time keeping women. But it was also
because of your height?
No, because of my insecurity. Because of it affected. So I had other stuff going on too, which is also what led me to this journey of. I had no problem getting women. I actually have been with a lot of women, but I just had a problem keeping them. So my relationships could never get to a serious point because I would always self-sabotage my relationships. I always had this weird thing, like, I don't know why it would be in the back of my head, but I'd be like, man, like, some of the women I've dated have been very beautiful. I'm like, man, what's she doing with me? Like, I see, like, people they've been with before me. And as a man, like, obviously you're not supposed to speak on these things, but I'm just, it's my story. Yeah. Man, I'd be like, man, she was with a dude before me. I'm just like, what does she want from me? Is it money? Is it this or that? Like, why is she with me? And it was a thought that I couldn't necessarily control. It was just back there in the back of my head. So I'm like, I've actually I was just like, man, I took a step back from relationships because I was like, I need to fix myself. I keep hurting people and messing up.
That's how he felt. Denzel Singers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how he felt. I'm gonna come over to you, Trey. Hearing that, what goes through your mind as a man? You know, especially with you being a tall man.
Well, I'm looking at Brother Zell. I'm like, okay, so you spent the $80K. You're tall now, but what's your money looking like now? I'm like, you still have this vote? Are you tall and broke? Because that's going to present some other issues. So, you know, far be it from me. I'm not checking for your pocket, bro. I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't be spending. I'm just looking at it like, okay, now that you are part of the club, now that you're 6 feet, are you, is that going to carry over into your relationships? Are you still going to have some past insecurities that are going to creep back into these relationships? Because I don't think, you can go and you spend that money, shout out to you, you spent the $80K, you got the limb lengthening surgery, but does that mean that all your demons have just gone away? I mean, you still could, now that you're tall, you still could be in some serious need of therapy. At the end of the day, I'm like, don't discount the therapy. It can still play a part in your relationships, but, do you think, homie?
So you think the gentleman that was on Voices in the Street, you think that he should have gotten therapy?
I think
therapy before or after?
Therapy throughout. I mean, fact of the matter is therapy should have been an integral part throughout the entire process. But even now that you've gone through the surgery, you're 6 feet, you're tall,
But see, this is why and I was telling the producer of Voices in the Street, Danje, shout out to Danje, I was telling her, my thoughts on it because I heard the interview. I heard the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And what threw me off was he said, we just played the excerpt. He said that he didn't do it because of the women. He didn't have no problem with getting women. But according to WSB TV here in Atlanta, the headline says that Metro Man, they didn't say the name, Metro Man has limb lengthening surgery, making him 6 inches taller after being rejected by women. So it must have been something more underlying. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was thrown off.
Go ahead. That's why I was talking about the therapy.
It kind of reminds me of women who get surgery. They say, "Oh, well, I'm doing it for myself," but it's in. Not to say everybody is doing it for the same reason, but be real.
Oh, by the way, we got to shout out. Austin McCall, because he's a part of Voices in the Street, and he was in the studio when they had the tall guy in the studio. Did you want to? Did you have a?
You
before we go to break, did you have any 2 cents you want to provide, or do you have a change of thought since the interview?
Nah, he made a strong decision. Before I met him, I probably would have thought he made it out of a place of insecurity, but he did not. He was very, very serious, and he really thought long and hard about the decision. It was something he had been thinking about since he was like, I think he said he looked up every year since he was 15 if there was a new way to get taller.
So if it's not out of insecurity, what is it? Are you trying
to
get
taller
for a job?
He said that even though he wasn't insecure about it, when he looked in the mirror, he never saw what was in his mind. It didn't match the reflection.
So he's a trans tall person.
Basically, yeah. No, for real, that's what I said. I said it. I was like, yo, you basically is like somebody that's trans, like you was trapped, but like in the short person body. And he was like, yeah. So cool. But like when he was making the decision, he didn't say like, oh, I wasn't getting girls or nothing. He had good money because he spent $80,000 to be like 6 feet tall. So he was making good money. He probably was getting at women or whatever. He just was like, yo, when I look in the mirror, I be thinking I'm 5'10", 6 feet, and I'm not.
So is his arms short now?
Nah, his arms is crazy long. It was like he said he was a tall kid or something. He said he was like 5'6" in like the 2nd grade and never grew again. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what that's like. So, you know what I'm saying? I can't relate to being like tiny, but I was like, cool, bro. If that makes you feel better, you have $80,000 to spend, great.
You know what I could do with $80,000?
Strip.
Buy me some property. No, not go to the strip club, Austin. Buy me some property. I'm just saying. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. Thank you, Austin, from Voices in the Street. We got another excerpt to play from Voices in the Street coming up in just a few moments, and we're going to take your calls at 404-726-1380. The size, I'm sorry, not size, height. Because size and height are two different things. Does height really matter when it comes to dating and to one's mental health? We want to hear from you. It is The Mental Space with Sean Garvey. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Didn't we talk about that?
We
talked about that.
Stand by.
Ideas about competition, ideas, let's see what's gonna happen.
Back then, they didn't want me because I was short. Now that I'm tall, they want me. 404-726-1380. Welcome back to the Mental Space. Sean Garvey on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Also on the Flow Television Network, on Roku TV. We still have our panel of guests. We have Trey Amazing. We have Blase. We also have Alicia Bridges. And we also have our musical guest, Nigel Perkins, as we continue to talk about height and mental health, as well as self-esteem. Does height matter when it comes to dating and to one's mental health? 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. Nigel, I'm going to come over to you because I didn't get a chance to get your commentary. After hearing that excerpt that we played before the break regarding the young gentleman that was in the studio not too long ago, Denzel Singers, what came across your mind when you was hearing that brother's testimonial story of how life treated him differently when he became taller versus when he wasn't tall?
Well, actually, Trey hit it on the head, man. It was like, what was his mental space like? Like, are you now having issues, or with, you know, how are you feeling right now? You know, because it has to be triggered knowing that you got to be extra careful now. You know, you can't just say that I'm 6 feet and I'm good, but you still got to deal with the people that knew you for when you were the size that you were. You know, so you have to deal with that as well. Is that triggering for you, or is it? How is that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, people reported that Singers opened up about the surgery on social media, saying women rejected him for only being 5'5". And once again, like I said, before we went into the break, everybody, I was thrown off because on the show with Voices in the Street, he said that he didn't do it for the women. He never had a problem with women. It was just his insecurities. But in the headline, it said that he kept getting rejected by women because of his height. So I was a bit thrown off by that. And I know that for me, because like I said earlier, I'm not a tall guy. I'm not a tall glass of water, but I'm not a very, very short guy. I'm in the middle, right? I've been rejected by women for various reasons. I've been rejected by women, whether if it wasn't my height, it was my complexion. If it wasn't my complexion, it was my personality, being the nice guy or being a certain kind of way that did not gel with them. So I'm just curious to know more about why this is starting to become a new norm for people, especially for men, to go and get surgeries. Because, and you can attest to this, Trey, we used to hear a lot about women going to go get surgeries on their breasts, and then later on their buttocks to look a certain way, to look like what they see in the media, to look like what they see on magazines, or to impress people, or to get the guy that they wanted to get, or to do it for purposes to get a job, to get promoted at work. But now this has become the new norm of going and getting surgeries to impress people. And I know that there's a lot of anxiety that comes. 4-726-1380 is the telephone number. Let's speak to Wayne from Fayetteville. Wayne, what's your question or comment for our panelists on height and dating and mental health?
That's a great equalizer. It equalizes everything. If a woman being a tall, broke man, so be it. But I had no problem. I don't have a problem. I love tall women.
All right. He said he loved tall women. He never had a problem. What do you got to say to that, Blase? I see you holding the mic up.
I don't know. How tall was he? He said he dated somebody else 6'5". How tall was he?
His wife was 6'5".
Did he say what his height was?
He didn't say what his height was.
I mean, well, that's his preference. If he like tall women, he like tall women. I'm just, we talking about the men. I prefer not to date a short guy. But my father just told me this recently that I'm going to miss out on my husband
Ooh.
Having a stigma
Because you have
preference.
or a standard.
Yeah, he said you might meet a great guy that's short or same height as you, but you keep on passing him up because of his height or whatever.
So your Boaz may not be over 6 feet.
Oh Lord.
I mean, when women talk about praying to God, you know, to send them that Boaz, to send them the man that's divinely for them. What if he is 5'5", 5'6"? He might not be over 6 feet, but he might be the man that God, you know, designed specifically for you.
God says that He gives us the desires of our heart.
Right.
And she says she wants a man tall.
I'm just,
Amen.
Amen.
let the church say.
Did the church say amen?
I don't know if I'm gonna say amen to that.
It's just my preference, you know. Dang. And there's other preference that you gotta have too, but you know that's one of them.
That's after 9 p.m. Okay.
Oh.
I'm assuming. Oh, finances. Oh, okay. You didn't say that, Blase.
And I didn't say that either. What you said?
Well, how do you know what I was gonna say? I just said after 9 p.m.
What happens after 9 p.m.?
What happens after 9 p.m.?
I know what happens after this. We're gonna go to a break.
Okay.
We're gonna go to a break. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. We're gonna take more of your comments. The average height of males varies from one country to another. Socioeconomic, nutritional, and biological factors may affect a person's height. We're gonna talk about it when we come back from the break. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number. It is the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK and also on the Flow Television Network.
Different show.
I know that was his different show. I wasn't even
What's up, everybody? This is Grammy nominated creative.
Jake and JT love me.
MC, make another hit.
This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want.
This ain't what you want.
Simone's Choice
Yeah.
on News Talk 1380 WLK. Emphasis, Simone's Choice. Little Oopsie Birt. Just Wanna Rock. Which, of course, Little Oopsie Birt is what, 5'2"?
5'2".
Is he 5'2" or am I just guessing?
He can stand on his money though.
We're about to find out.
That part.
He's 5'4".
We're about to find out.
He's 5'4".
He's 5 what?
4.
6?
5'4".
5'4". 5'4". Okay.
But it's money though.
Got money.
Yeah.
He still got that diamond in his forehead.
No.
You take it out.
No.
Good deal.
So now we ain't saying nothing about that.
But are we saying that a person of his stature makes up for his height?
I still would be uncomfortable if I'm being honest with him being 5'4". It wouldn't matter how much money he had, but it would be a little bit more digestible for sure. I would have to struggle with him somewhere in Bali or Africa.
See, if you're that height, you got money, it's not an issue. I mean, come on, you got no problems.
Look at Kevin Hart.
Right.
That is true. Because Kevin Hart is short. That's the first man where I literally looked at the top of his head.
Like you can see him.
Yeah, like literally.
Like, oh.
He's really.
Because I've heard women say that I don't date short guys, but I'm willing to date one if he has a certain type of status or some type of economic stability.
Correct. That's called an unearned privilege.
Money
So,
make up for it.
you know, if you have certain things, then there's certain flaws that people will ignore because of that. It's just like being tall for a man is an unearned privilege because you have this privilege. You really don't have to do anything.
Oh, we still got to do some things.
Well, you have an advantage over a man who is short in a lot of instances because you're tall. We just sat here and talk, and women like, oh, well, you got to be at least 6 foot plus. That's an unearned privilege.
But if you got money though, if the man is tall,
the money. Well, if who has money?
If the guy who is not tall got money,
the money is the unearned privilege.
Because what did Jay-Z say? Ain't no such thing as an ugly millionaire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the privilege though. It's the privilege of having money. So now you don't have to be tall.
Right.
It's just like for women, if you're shaped a certain way, if you got, it's pretty privilege. If you
it's
got
pretty
hips
privilege.
and a
It's
butt,
great.
like it's certain things that you ain't gonna have to work as hard for as a woman that they ain't got no booty and no hips.
Oh, that's obvious. That's true.
I mean,
You're right. You're right.
That's true.
Or is
If you're pretty and you got a shapely figure,
Yeah.
certain problems ain't problems.
Yeah,
Kind of problems.
you know.
Right.
Okay, let's play another excerpt from Voices in the Street. Once again, Voices in the Street. What did you say?
She said good point.
Good point. Oh,
Well,
okay.
she was agreeing with you.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
But I thought you was saying something about the guy, Denzel Singers, who was on Voices in the Street a couple of weeks ago, actually. He was talking about his surgery journey from being the height that he was back then to the height that he is now, 6 inches taller. And here's what he also said on Voices in the Street that made him make the decision that he made to grow 6 inches taller.
Start dating and start getting into relationships because for so long you've been kind of self-sabotaging certain situations, how your mind is going to be. I'm just kidding, it's kind of
I've been reading a lot on becoming a better man, a lot of things. Over the last year, I've been reading a lot, I've been studying a lot, and I've just kind of been in my own mental space. So I think once I decide to get back in the dating market, things will be different from the person that I was. But right now, dating and women are not really a concern to me. I will say that women have changed towards me since I've gotten the surgery. I haven't figured out if it's because of height or going viral yet. But
So I just want to just clarity. Is it the ones that you knew already, or is it new
women?
So it's hectic all over. So I know the social media thing is from going viral, but I get crazy DMs every day from women women have started approaching me in public. I've never been I've only been approached like once or twice in my life by a woman I usually pursue. I've been approached by a lot of.
Now, key word, mental space, that he used in his commentary. Mental space. He must have listened to the show before.
Could be.
I'm just saying. But he also alluded to the fact that people treat him differently since he got the enhancement.
I think he also, I think part of going viral, I think that kind of helped a little bit.
Social media.
Social media can do it.
Which we talk about a lot on the mental space because social media and mental health play a pivotal role with each other. They go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The fact that he's now Denzel, he's a name now. People are talking about it.
We're not talking about Denzel Washington.
We're not talking about Denzel Washington, but he's Denzel. Okay, but the fact of the matter is he's gone viral. A lot of people didn't know about this surgery. The surgery, he's not the first person to have this surgery, but the fact that he's out there, he's gone viral, a lot of people now know limb lengthening surgery because of him. So the fact that he's out there, he's popular, that's going to, play a huge role in the women who are approaching him, the women who are in his DMs now. It's part of it. In addition to the fact that he's now 6 feet.
I just want to know, when going through that surgery, the healing process of it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. You went the healing process. You went through a whole lot, but you was in a lot of pain for a long time.
I also wonder what it's going to be 20 years from now, because typically with any surgery, back surgery, knee surgery, hip replacements, they have to replace those after so many years. So what does the future look like?
Like the Tin Man?
The person that did the surgery for him, he also went through the surgery himself.
Oh, okay.
He was first to do it. So
who did it on him?
The doctor that did it was the first person to go through the surgery because he was going through that same process.
Okay. Oh wow.
All right.
Short men unite.
Let's go to the phone lines. 404-726-1380 is the telephone number if you want to weigh in on the conversation. We're talking about, does height really matter when it comes to dating and one's mental health? We got back Dooley from Florida, and even Dooley on my Facebook page at Sean Garvey, he commented stating that my granddad was 5'7", my grandma was 6'2", stayed yoga, and I don't know what the other words are saying, but I'm assuming in a healthy position. You want to expound on that, Dooley?
He said that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I appreciate it, Dooley. Say it again. Is it the height or the length? Which one matters?
What are we talking about now?
He's after 9 o'clock.
It's not. Yeah, you gotta have to wait till after 9 p.m. But does it matter to you, Dooley? Like, does height really matter to you at this point? Okay. All right. So Dooley is saying that it's other things than the height that matter. That's what he's alluding to.
He's saying how big are your hands and feet, and something else.
Like I said, that's a conversation after 9 p.m. for the podcast.
After dark conversation.
But I don't think he's saying that though. I don't really think that Dooley is saying that. I think he's also talking about, if I had to guess, the mind. We don't talk about the mind that much. The mindset. A person's brain, their mindset, like their head space, their mental space.
Intellect.
Their intellect,
Yeah,
right?
makes a difference. I
Yeah.
mean, intellect, confidence, self-awareness, self-assurance.
I think all of that matters, but that doesn't. I don't care how good the intellect is. If a woman wants a man who is a certain height, that's what she wants.
Yeah, that's part of her mental space.
Yeah.
So we gotta,
It's not
respect
gonna
that.
matter. The only thing that will change it is maybe money.
Yeah, I'd
Then
still be curious to women like why is height
But
that important?
and that would put a person in a different kind of rabbit hole if that person is only going into the relationship based on a person's financial economic status, regardless of height.
I don't
'Cause
think
you
that's
know,
the
you can
only.
see-
I just think it makes the height more digestible. I don't think it's the only. Like, he got
Nigel,
money.
do you agree or disagree before we go to break?
I don't disagree with that, man. I mean, that's what they refer.
Look here,
You
Nigel
can
is
be
dressed up.
overweight. You got money.
They
It's okay that
standing
you're
on
overweight.
that,
Look
man.
at this. You can be ugly.
So let me ask you this, Nigel. Let me ask you this: if a woman does not like your height, but she likes your status, because you came here dressed out and everything, like you would be okay with that,
Brother Sharp.
She ain't gotta like the height, but like you say, the status, it makes up for the height. So if that's what she likes, then we know. Long as we know what we going in it as, you know what I'm saying. Then that's all that matters. If I know that that's what she likes, and I'm accepting if that's what she likes, then that's cool.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can date people and not like everything about them. You know.
Yeah.
You just got to know what you get into.
I want to date a man that's still shopping in Junior's. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
No.
as long as their mental state is in place.
He can save money on clothes. The clothes are cheaper. That's the silver lining.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking at the positive,
That's
ladies
true.
and gentlemen.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. All right. 404-726-1380. Does height matter when it comes to dating and your mental space? We're going to go back to the phone lines after this break. It is the Mental Space with Sean Garvey right here on News Talk 1380 WAOK and on the Flow Television Network.
This is a Grammy nominated creative listing People's Choice. Queen Sheba, and it is my honor to be on the Mental Sean Garvey.
Sean.
Yes, sir.
Oh. So the answer to the question for me is no. I went on my first date at 14, and since then it's always been the same for me. A date, no matter what my physical attraction is to her, the date has always been an intellectual and emotional pursuit and nothing more. So height has never been a factor to me. And she was taller than me at 14 that year until that next year. So it's intellectual. Dates are intellectual and emotional pursuits for me and nothing more. So, and it doesn't affect my mental. It doesn't affect my mental state at all. Her height. My the three mothers of my children are respectively 5'7", 5'9", and 5'11", and she's taller than me. So they're tall. They're considered tall women at 5'7". So I don't care about stuff like that. But for the pursuit of children and sex, and you get into other things, I can see where it would be a factor. To some degree, it's a factor for me when you get into that. But I have a question for the group, because as I've just told you, dating for me is just an emotional or intellectual pursuit, nothing more. And it doesn't need to be focused on anything that an agreement that's followed through on to meet someplace and do something, whatever that thing is. How do you all individually define a date? Because people play around with that word a lot.
Okay, that's a question for our panelists. Let's start with Trey Amazing, the dating commentator. How do you define a date?
Every time I've gone out on a date, I've actually used the word date. Okay, I've said, hey, can I take you out on a date? Can I take you out? Can we go whatever? But I've been intentional as far as going out with the intention of dating. Blase crazy. No, I've actually, for the most part, maybe when I was younger, maybe I skipped over it, maybe I didn't, have that exact definition. But as I got older, I've been intentional and said, can I take you out on a date? Me taking you out, me paying for it, me, picking the venue, me being intentional about where we're going, everything is premeditated. So having that word in it, we're not hanging out, we're not just kicking it. I'm like, no, can I take you out on a date?
Okay. Alicia, really quick, what do you define as a date?
I define as a date as a man asking to take me out and paying for it with romantic intention.
No matter how short or tall he is.
Now, didn't we just have this conversation?
Hey, some people change their answers after a certain particular
5, 10, or above.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And you know what? He doesn't necessarily have to spend money either, because one of the best dates I've gone on was at the park, and he played a guitar and sung to me, and he had a picnic basket of food, and it was beautiful. It truly was.
One of my best days were at places like Crystal's and Red Lobster.
Not Crystal.
Crystals. Yes.
You're not going to give me gas after that date.
Say it again, Crystals?
And Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
It's the biscuit.
It's the biscuit.
It's the biscuit.
All right, so we're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. But what have we learned from this conversation on height and dating? Of course, we don't want to advocate for people to go do the same thing that the gentleman on Voices in the Street did. If you're going to do that, do some research, do some studying, talk to people who have underwent that particular surgery before you go do it, and find out if it's something that is suitable for what you're trying to accomplish, or even go to your medical doctor and get some medical advice before you do that, because there will and might be some long-term effects to that. But what have we take away from this conversation, starting with you, Nigel?
Take away that you cannot allow people's opinions to bother your mental space with this, because everyone's going to have preferences, and that doesn't mean that it is disrespectful and it's pointed right at you.
Okay. All right. What about you, Blase?
I'll just take away just date who you want to date. Whatever your preference is, date who you want to date. No matter what nobody thinks. If you want to date somebody short, date somebody short. If you want to date somebody tall, date somebody tall. But like I said, my preference, I want somebody taller than me. Period.
What if it's the guy who happens to be the last single man on earth and he is 5'4", 5'5"?
Well, nobody will see us, so we can be together.
Okay. See, we're gonna turn this into another hour of the mental space, but we're not gonna do that. All right.
I'm trying to keep it 100. Nobody not gonna see us.
You see, you glad we hit the top of the hour here. We're running out of time. Trey Amazing. Trey Amazing, how can people follow you?
You can find me on IG at Dating Commentator. But most importantly, if you're on YouTube, find youtube.com/Ringside LLC. Shout out to the Ringside crew. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the videos. But most importantly, subscribe. Give me some followers.
Okay, there you go. And Alicia Bridges, she's gonna be touring again. Let them know.
Hey, it's Alicia Bridges here. You can follow me at Alicia M. Bridges everywhere. Also follow my new plant and mental health page, Alicia Got Plants. That's ALISHA Got Plants, for inspiration as well as learning how to cultivate indoor plants.
All right, Blase, what you got coming up?
Okay, you can follow me on Blase2 and on Facebook, Wanda Davis.
All right, last but not least, representing for the 5'5s and shorter, Nigel Perkins, but still looking good, good. Nigel, how can they follow you and also get some new tracks?
Look, y'all can follow me. I want to tell you, but as of right now, they just shut my IG down today. So, but you can follow me on YouTube at Nigel Perkins, and you can also follow me on Facebook as Nigel Perk. That's NIGELPERK. Listen, all platforms. I'm on every platform for the music. You can make sure you get it.
All right.
And if you're in town, August 12th, I will be at 291. So y'all come check me out.
Oh, I love it. There you go. Talk about promotion. All right. Well, this has been the Dating Behind the Scene panelists on the conversation of height, mental health, dating, and more. We do this each and every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Shout out to my executive producer, Simone, and also to my associate producer, Michelle Dawes. Birt, Danje on the graphics, Leo on the video, and of course, Joyce Littel, our very own WAOK brand manager, Reggie Rouse, Rick Caffey, and the team here at Odyssey. And to you, the WAOK listeners, thank you all for your support. And to my mother, Rhonda, for always having the best seat in the house. If you missed any of tonight's highlights, you can go on demand on the Odyssey app feature, Rewind. And we also have iCarve. What is the word? Archive. Yes. Shows on SeanGarveyOnline.com. And thank you to the people behind the Flow Television Network. And until then, next time, remember, folks, don't make room for bad news. Make every day your own good news, and always keep yourself and others in a great mental space. Until the next time, cheers.
Good night, Simone. Good night, everyone. We love you.
1380 WAOK is
Always encouraging you. I said,